welcome. My name's Joe, and I'm gonna do some coding, but I'm also gonna multitask by doing my cephaly. Oh, this is mirror image. Oh, that's hard. I should have done this in another program. It's hard to do mirror image, trying to center it. Okay, this is an electrode with glue. Adhesive electrode. And this is my cephaly device that zaps my forehead for 20 minutes a day. It's supposed to reduce migraines. Does it work? I don't know. But it looks funny. It looks like something they'd use in Star Trek, right? To fix your brain. So yeah, I mean, close enough. Essentially, it's like a tens unit that, like, I don't know what 10 stands for, but it stands for something that means like send small amounts of electricity through your brain. Not your brain. Through your nervous system. It seems like your Sound Alerts browser source is offline. Make sure you've implemented the source correctly in OBS or refresh the source. Well, that's good. Oh, maybe that's because I'm in the wrong view. It is offline, Sound Alerts, and good for you for telling me. That is because I'm not in a scene that has it yet. I've just did a talking stream that I just put a matrix background and was like, that seems like a nice place to start. Well, I put on my Star Trek looking doodad and say hi, chat with people coming in. I am gonna do some coding today. Whether that type of coding is as fascinating as some of my other stuff, some of my other coding that I've done, remains to be seen. I think it might be because I have a lot of projects, Twitter bots and stuff, that are running, and that some of them use Log4j. Belgiumet, it's the Joe. Hello, hello, Belgiumet. Welcome. How are you? How's your night? How's your day going? I'm gonna upgrade some of my projects' Log4j versions to the latest and greatest Log4j. If you don't know, and you probably do, Log4j has a bunch of significant security problems. Hey, look, more green text in the Log4j news. I want to see what version they're up to now, because actually they keep finding more problems with Log4j and they keep updating more. But it looks like they might have settled on... No, 2.17.0 is bad. So what's the new one? Upgrade to Log4j 2.3.2. Oh, for Java 6. 2.14, 2.12.4 for Java 7, or 2.17.1 for Java 8 or later. I'm using Java 8 or later, so we're going to 2.17.1, which is what I started doing on some of them. And we're going to go through each project and which is the right scene? This one. And oh, it's not picking up my text. Text. There we go. That's better. Okay. Which I forgot to put in the other scene. The other scene I just made, and it's pretty sparse. So I'm gonna go through my list. I made a list of all of the what are they called? The Lambda functions in Amazon Web Services that I have running, which is where I run most of my bots. And some of them I've already updated what was running there to a new Log4j. I might have to do some of them again. I didn't put the versions on here. I put the times when I did it, but I don't know what day I did it, so that's not very useful. But I gotta mark which ones have Log4j and which ones I'm updating to what version. Just heading to bed after a couple of days, but thought I'd say hi first and see what you're up to. OBS behaving itself tonight? That's a good question, Baljamet. The problem with OBS last time was that the alerts and shout-out clips were not showing the video, but they were showing the audio. And I don't know yet. I haven't done a test of alerts because I did too many other things instead. Whether that works with video and audio, I don't know. Valencia112 is trying to see if I can be in two places at the same time. I'm watching Foglight play a game, and I now see you're here. That's cool. Thank you, Valencia. I appreciate you stopping by. I'm not playing a game right now, so I can understand if you want to pay attention to Foglight's stream. If you're feeling more games and less programming, perfectly reasonable, as many people would do. Um, I decided to do a programming stream because it's one of the things that I used to do a lot, and it's one of the things I want to do more of. Different audiences for different things. I think that's fine. Most of what I'm coding is games, but games are like silly art stuff. But it's really just a way to hang out with people and like make stuff. And some people want to see some programming. Some people are like, okay, that looks like something. So thanks for stopping by. Feel free to hang out. This first project is also just like a tour of all of my projects that are running. Auto tweet. So this is what Picard tips and Riker Googling both run on. Oh, I'm not running Mix It Up. Ugh, I forgot so many things. Here comes the bot. Come on in, bot. Auto tweet. Once it's running, then I can have the bot say some stuff about like Picard tips, but it's going to take a little while to log in. And this one, I opened up its build.gradle file already to see if it has log4j. It does not. And I'm tempted to clean up stuff like there's these little purple dots on the side because those are warnings, because JCenter is a repository that's not going to be honored later this year. It's going to go away. I use an iPhone and an iPad. Well, and you can be in two places at once. Let's see if this works. Picard tips. Hey, good place. Janet has some things to say about Picard tips. And did I put one for Riker Googling? I might have. Some interesting bot names in the project tree there. Trying to corner the Trek Who crossover market. I don't have any Who, do I? I have some... I don't know which ones you're thinking are Doctor Who similar related. But Doctor Who's been on the air for so many decades that most concepts have been in Doctor Who at some point. There are a few Star Trek things in here, possibly, but most of these are things I have. These are all weird names for things that I have made. Oh, I didn't make a Riker Googling command. Oh, okay. I guess not. I made a lot of commands that I haven't finished having the Good Place Janet bot talk about. Also, wait, is it this? Yes, not a robot. So auto tweet sends out the Picard tips and Riker Googling tweets every day, but that does not have log4j. So what I need to do is say no log4j. That's done. Now book. Open book. Some of these aren't running and I don't need to bother with them, or they're other people's projects, or they're not Java. Book this window. Picard Time Lord, Riker Time Lord caught my eye. Oh, on the left. Yeah. Yes, you're absolutely right. So when I was naming those classes, I was thinking what would be the right name for that class? What is its job? And its job was to figure out what time to tweet. But it's a very complicated bunch of logic for what time to tweet. And eventually I was like, well, it's in charge of the time. And I was like, you know what? It's the Time Lord. Why not? And then I needed two different ones because they have two different algorithms for calculating time. So I ended up with the Picard Time Lord and the Riker Time Lord. That's how names for things end up getting made when you program, when your brain works like mine. This book is an unfinished project for tweeting open, public domain books in their entirety, one tweet at a time. Thought they were projects. Classes makes more sense. Yeah, they're responsible for very specific little tasks that I regarded as being in charge of time for Picard, the Picard Time Lord. This one, book, which I never finished yet. I haven't finished yet. This also does not have log4j. I think my default my template for a long time for making new projects didn't have logging in it because logging is just kind of a pain to set up, and I didn't care. And it turns out that there's actually good reasons not to have real proper logging because it's sometimes too complicated for what it really is. Complicated enough that it has many major security holes. Chronicle does not run automatically, but I run it once in a while. Chronicle is a project I have to gather all of my, whatchamacallit, interactive fiction tweets that are like poll-based, poll-playing games in Twitter, take an entire thread of like a few hundred of those and format them into HTML so that I can update them on my Patreon to make a more readable version of the whole thing. I am again tempted to update the repository to the one that's going to work later this year, but I don't want to get sidetracked. Do that another time. This one has log4j, but it has 2.17.0, so I did do this one. It was 2.15, and that was bad. Shazir, hi, welcome Shazir. How are you? Tell me if I'm saying your name right, or wrong, because I'm guessing. It's my first try to say it. Shazir, Shazer, I don't know. Welcome. How are you? Come on in. This I definitely updated because it says 2.17.0, and I didn't mark it. I guess I forgot to mark it in there. But what we want is 2.17.1 because I just saw on Apache's Log4j page, I'm finding you. No, is good. Shazir. Okay, great. How are you doing? I'm glad you're doing well. This says, let's make it bigger. Apache Log4j 2. The funny thing is, I was using Log4j 1 dot something, so I probably wasn't actually using anything dangerous, but I'm not positive. You know Bongo Cat? I do not know Bongo Cat. What is Bongo Cat? Should I know Bongo Cat? Is that a streamer or a cartoon character? And this I was using an old Log4j, and I'm updating these not because there's actually a risk on my projects. There isn't. It doesn't take input. There is no opportunity for anyone to feed malicious code to my bots because they're not web servers. But I'm updating them out of an abundance of caution and to get all of them updated so I don't have any of this known dangerous code there in case I add something later that would take input, or forget that there is input coming from a surprising source, or copy code from one place into another place in the future. I'll basically just like, it's dangerous, get rid of it, update it. So this says through 2.17.0 are vulnerable to remote code execution attacks, yada yada yada. This issue is fixed by limiting JNDI data source names to the Java protocol in version 2.17.1 and these other unrelated ones. This is an app for streaming. Oh, Bongo Cat for an app for streaming. I do not. I don't think I've seen Bongo Cat. I use OBS for streaming. Is Bongo Cat good? OBS is good, but not great. It's got bugs that don't seem to go away year after year. So I think 2.17.1 should not require much in the way of code changes. Going from my old version Log4j 1 dot something to 2 dot something does require code changes. But this one, I'm just going to run the existing tests, which don't cover everything. But I want to make sure everything compiles and all the tests pass. They do not. That could be because this project is not finished and doesn't actually work. And I was still like a bunch of thoughts that were not, I had copied code but hadn't finished copying all necessary code. So this references classes that are not in the project yet. So this is nonsense. It's gibberish. And therefore not dangerous. No, that's not true though, because here's keymaster and here's keymaster. But something is amiss. Something is amiss with the test code setup of this thing. Oh yeah, Sling 60, very nice. That Sling is one of the commands for stream avatars for making your little character at the bottom move about. I did add a stream avatars command, which references the other command from stream avatars, which is actions. This lists a few of the things you can do in stream avatars. Coding, coding, coding. Hey, Noah Jane. You know, Noah Jane, I know your offline name, but I've never actually said your handle out loud. Is it Noah Jane or is it Noah Jane? I don't know. Whatever. Let me know how to say it. I'm curious. Well, good to see you. How are you? The first way I said it, Noah Jane. Okay. I what does it mean? Noah Jane. Is it? It's not your initials. What does it come from? What is the origin of your username, if you don't mind me asking? Here's, oh yes, the best command for stream avatars, fart. Fart is a new one on me. Yes. I think it just makes them have a little moment in a little cloud or something. Noah is the first left-handed female character I ever noticed in a video game. Jane is my middle name. Left-handed female character. Wow. Representation. Very nice. That's cool. Thank you for telling me. I've always wondered. I'm always curious about people's creative usernames. Okay, how do I get to the to my source tree? Okay. So when I have this running, the cephaly, it's sending electricity into my forehead, and it's a very peculiar sensation, which is very unpleasant at first, and then you get used to it, and it does impact my cognitive function a little bit. Not because it's hitting my brain so much as because it's very distracting. It's just like, imagine someone's tasering you very, very gently, and you're trying to remember how to make software while you're being tasered very gently in your head. That's what's happening right now. I'm self-tasering. Okay, let's open up. It's a migraine treatment, a migraine prevention treatment, which may or may not be helping me have fewer or less severe migraines. I kind of think it might be. Ugh. Is this book? What file am I in? What project am I in? Oh, Chronicle. We did book already. Migraines are the worst. I know, aren't they? Migraines are my #1 excuse for not streaming. I'm just gonna make sure. So let's see. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff that needs to be checked in here, but it's just stuff that was like not. I haven't finished working on it or something. But the main thing is I'm updating the Log4j version. Update. And if there is a problem, next time I do run this thing for its occasional use, it will be safe or safer to use. It'll be containing the newer version of Log4j, which they've had enough time now that I kind of think maybe they're done fixing Log4j for this year. Who knows? Okay, and then so that's committed and push to GitLab. Log4j, yes, that's what I'm doing today. I'm updating all of my stuff that has Log4j so that it doesn't have the bad one. I don't know if you know, I work in InfoSec. I didn't know, so you know. So that's been your life for the last month, right? Just finding out more and more projects use Log4j. Cypher. Cypher. I am gonna open Cypher, but I need to be careful. Yeah. So I don't want to show you a lot of these keys, and I'm gonna have to well, I don't have to change them as long as I don't show you the other halves of them, but it's not great that I just showed those on stream. But I have designed them to be safe to stream as long as I change some of the ones, or don't show you the other halves of them. All of my keys, because I like to code on stream, I've made a system where all of my secret keys need two parts. And if you have one of the one part, you cannot figure out the key without having the other part. Hey, Delaney, how are you? It's been a long time. How you doing? Thankfully, my place wasn't super affected. Still trying to get word back from vendors. Yeah. And the vendors who tell you everything's great are the most suspicious. Okay, so this does not have a build.gradle, and it does not have, in its little bit of Java code, there are no dependencies, there are no libraries, and I couldn't remember if that was true or not, so it is true. And so we're done with this. This one, oh, Chronicle, we did, let's say log4j 2.17.1. Ah, this is starting to fade away. It's gonna be done soon. 2.14, 2022, January 14th. But I haven't uploaded it yet. But that one doesn't get uploaded, so it's fine. I'm okay in the middle of a bunch of medical stuff, says Delaney, but that's kind of normal for me these days, and I'm in a lull after yesterday's colonoscopy. Oh boy, lol. Well, I hear you, Delaney. I hope that you are feeling a little better now after coming back from your colonoscopy and all, having all the medical stuff. I understand that. That's my more general reason not for not streaming is medical stuff as well. It's like, if it's not one thing, it's another. Baljamet said, yeah, answering, hey, does this affect your product emails from customers was most of my week recently. Thankfully, we ship one Java applet that doesn't log anything, and even that's a special order project. When you say applet, do you mean the kind of applet that's like technically an applet in a web page? Because that most of those are like dead. Or is it like some other kind of Java app? I'm curious, because I haven't seen the word applet in a while. That was a special word. Okay, so Chronicle is done because, why does it say that? Log4j. Because I don't have to upload it. Chronicle, that's not true. Let me check. Chronicle is, nope, it's not one of the ones that's on here. Okay. Costume. Oh no, Cypher. Cypher we checked, does not have log4j. Costume. Costume is definitely live. Noah Jane said, I keep sending reminders because we have vendors, just not at all responding. Mostly we're checking to make sure they're looking into their vendors. Oh my God. I never even thought of that. Yeah. And then it's a chain of trust of how much can you trust what they say that they've done successfully versus just like, oh no, we're fine. No, we're fine. Yeah, that's, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. Delaney, yeah. And thankfully no obvious cancer. Oh, well, that's good, Delaney. Always good to get some good news there. More polyps than I should probably have at my age, but I'll take it. Probably oversharing a bit. Just happy to be through this stretch of things for a few minutes. I don't mind it. It's not oversharing in my book. Perfectly reasonable conversation. Nothing embarrassing or wrong about checking for polyps in your colon. I need to do that. I've never done it. My doctor said I didn't have to yet. But that was a few years ago. And now I'm 44, and I don't technically have to do it, but I should. But I don't want to during COVID. If I don't have to. I don't know. I should, but I don't want to get COVID doing it. Baljamet, yep, real applet, and them being dead is why it's no longer in the main download, but just for the one customer who liked it. Of course. Of course. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, what a pain. It is nice having hobby projects like this that don't have a whole bunch of people depending on them who have demands. This is good. It looks like Costume doesn't use log4j, which I used to be embarrassed about that I wasn't using proper logging. And now I'm like, haha, screw your proper logging. I got safety. I got system out println. Hooray to no obvious cancer, Delaney. Yes, thank you, Noah Jane. That is fantastic. Glad I could pop in, but it's late for me, so off to sleep. That's cool. Thank you so much, Noah Jane, for coming in. Have a nice rest. I'll see you another time. We'll play a game or something sometime. Delaney, good luck with your vendors. If it's anything like the ones my brother deals with in his unrelated industry, they won't notice anything until something catastrophic breaks. I know, and there's nothing much you can do except beg them and inform them that it's very serious. And do your best to get them to listen. But yeah, most companies only react. They don't want to spend time and money protecting themselves before they've been attacked. Good night. Good night, Noah Jane. So this project costume is running in AWS, and it changes my Twitter display name every day in October, and then it changes it back to normal after October, for Halloween fun times. Delaney, and yeah, I hear that, Joe. It made sense for me because there's so much wrong with me and still trying to solve certain mysteries. But certainly, if you don't have to do it, not a bad time to keep one's head down, as it were. Yeah, and I've been like, since my doctor mentioned it years ago as like something that was coming up, getting a colonoscopy, I've been asking her every now and then, like, wait, do I need it? Like, my father had cancer and died of it, and but it wasn't colon cancer, and do I need to get a colonoscopy? What age do I need it? And it's a little fuzzy, but it's like 45 maybe. So I'm like, okay, well, it's coming soon, and I would be all like getting ready gung ho, except I'm like, I don't want to go near hospitals this year or next year. And I want to. I believe COVID has an end, and I don't want to do anything unnecessarily risky to get it while it's here. Um, so this doesn't have log4j. Moving on. No, not moving on. We got to mark it. No log4j. Countdown. Okay. Countdown is technically deployed, and it was running. Its schedule has ended. It was counting down to the Biden presidency, the inauguration, on Twitter every hour. And the inauguration happened, and the bot has finished its work. The reason to check it and update it is because it's deployed, and I might reuse it for something else. And what I see here is there is no log4j in countdown. So that one's done. A lot of this work is just going to be verifying that I don't have log4j, but in a lot of places I do. Congratulations, good bot. Yes, people gave it a lot of like, that'll do, pig, when the inauguration happened. Because there was a lot of uncertainty about whether the inauguration was going to happen. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Since like counting the votes became a thing that was like, oh, we're not doing that. Oh, we're going to wait until the terrorists want us to count the votes or something. So inaugurations, we'll see. Yeah, I wrote that bot because I wanted it, and I was like, I think people appreciate watching the number of hours remaining shrink visibly down every hour. Authenticate. Login required for getheroku.com. I still am wondering what's happening here. This has something to do with source tree. This only happens when source tree is open, but I don't get it. I don't know what connection this has to my Heroku account. I honestly don't. I think I just haven't used my Heroku account enough to remember exactly what I did, how I connected source tree to the Git repository of Heroku, but I don't want to log into Heroku. Unless it's to make this go away. But that might pop up once in a while, and I'm kind of currently in the mode of like not caring, just clicking it to make it go away. Baljamet, I hear that regarding staying away from hospitals at the moment, alas, my optician referred me for an urgent checkup after a recent eye test, so I have to go in on Monday. Yay. I'm so sorry, Baljamet. Just, wear your mask as much as you possibly can. And wear an N95, not a cloth mask, or a KN95. Good luck with that, Bao. Yeah. Wouldn't mind, except when I went to collect my new glasses, the prescription was completely wrong, so maybe there isn't even an issue to worry about after all. Oh, that's the worst. And then you find out you like put yourself through all that stress for nothing. Cheers, fingers crossed, I guess. At least my stronger eye is still good enough to drive on. Yeah, I hear that. My eyes are, just a little worse every day. But I'm still not wearing my glasses. So my glasses are kind of, having the pressure on my head can make, it's an extra trigger for migraines. And it's, I don't think that they're great, my glasses, because when I look at my phone, it doesn't look rectangular when I wear my glasses. It looks a little bit off in its shape. So there might be something a little funky with my prescription. Valencia, I go for an eye exam next month. Be safe. Wear the best mask that they'll let you wear. Quadrain, hi friend. Hi Quadrain, how are you? How's it going? Delaney said, yeah, and you have issues with migraines, right? Yes. So I've streamed coding before, and it's the one thing I've streamed with my glasses on, because I was kind of going through a phase of trying my glasses. But can't blame you for trying to dodge any bit of extra stress around that if possible. Yeah, I was at the DMV, and like they gave me an eye test, and this person working there was like, you really need to wear your glasses as much as possible whenever you're awake, all the time, or it will make your eyes even worse. And I was like, and I didn't want to get into it. I was like, good advice, yes. She was like, definitely when you're driving, you should really be wearing your glasses. And I was like, yep, sure, yep. Because I didn't want to get into it. Because I was like, I can see well enough to drive. Yes, I could probably see a little bit better with my glasses, but it's gonna give me migraines, and that's not helpful. As long as I still can see without them. Eventually, I might have to get contacts. Quadrain, I'm good. Just finished dinner, enjoying homemade berry crumble pie note for dessert. Oh my god. Homemade. I'm going to read that more slowly. Just finished dinner and enjoying homemade berry crumble pie note for dessert. I don't understand the word note, but I am enjoying the images that pop into my head with that series of words. I have some Peppered Farm Chesapeake cookies, dark chocolate pecan, the perfect cookie, and some milk. Now, not note. Okay. I had a feeling that might be a typo. I thought it might be some kind of fancy food, like, ooh, a pie note. That sounds good. I don't know what it is, but is it French? It just sounds French. What am I doing here? What's this project? Crossword. This is the next bot that I'm actually really excited to work on, and it's one of the reasons why I'm streaming coding today. Is while I'm getting back into streaming, I'm kind of like, well, I got to ease the people that I know back into like, what do I stream? It's not always board games. It's not always video games. Sometimes it's coding. Swipe text kills me if I'm not paying attention. Well, you got everything else perfect, and it looked really delicious. So it was not a big mistake. It was a small mistake because everything else, the important words were all there, like enjoying homemade berry crumble pie for dessert. That sounds good. It literally made me pull a cookie out of a bag. Paul Jamet falls over laughing at the auto captioner before it corrected itself. Before it corrected itself? Berry crumble. Yeah, that sounds so good. Crossword is an unfinished Twitter bot that I am still wanting to work on that will generate crossword puzzles, tweet them, and then listen to replies and get, when people correctly solve one of the words of the crossword puzzle, it will tweet a new version of it with that word included, with credit to the person who got it, and points that person gets for every new letter added to the crossword puzzle that person's word was responsible for. And then I want it to have weekly scoreboards for people to show who has the most points that week and show scoreboards in progress every day or so. And it's pretty ambitious and big and cool. And it requires a whole bunch of stuff that I still have to figure out how to do. But I think I know how to do every piece of it. It's just a lot of work. And I've been distracted because there's a pandemic. Some kind of fancy food like poo-poo. Haute cuisine indeed. Lots of fancy things are disgusting when you get down to it. You know what lobsters are? This crossword project does not appear to contain log4j. So that's nice. Moving on. No log4j. Crypt. Crypt is the other half of the Cypher project. Cypher is where I have my secret keys to encode each of my secret tokens for logging into Twitter and Twitch and stuff. Crypt is where I have the encoded values. So the values from Crypt and the values from Cypher together with my algorithm can be used to determine what those secret tokens are. I will not be opening Crypt because I already opened Cypher and showed some of those secret encryption keys on, posture check and hydrate. Oh, thank you very much, Delaney. Yes, posture check. Okay. Have some water, thank you. Have a little stretch. Sit up straight. Tuck in abdominals and move chair forward. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for the posture check. So I will not be opening Crypt because that is where I keep the secret values that are encrypted by the encryption keys in Cypher. If I were to show both of those on stream, then anyone could get my algorithm that's open source to decipher what my tokens are and log into my Twitter accounts and stuff. We don't want to do that. And I also know that Crypt doesn't contain any code whatsoever. It's just the values, just text files with values. For what it's worth, doing the same here. Fantastic, fantastic. Using streamer point redeems to keep myself doing good things. Life hack. Right on, right on. I do the same thing. I go into like Bonsonator's stream and I'll like redeem a channel points redemption for bad boys, she calls them, which is lifting dumbbells a bunch of times. And I see people doing things, I want to do it. Why do you think I'm streaming? So I get my dumbbells out of under the pile of board games and I just start doing them along with her. And I'm like, this is great. Good thing I redeemed this channel point redemption. All right, so emoji tetra. Emoji tetra. This one, it does have, okay, so here's crossword data. That's fine. It doesn't contain code. Crypt doesn't contain code. Emoji tetra, it does. Honestly, I never understood that until now in reference to the streamer points. So the streamer points, for me, it's the little gold bar at the bottom of chat, is which if you hover, it says Latinum. Oh my God. Josh, Austin, Dev. Welcome, Josh, Austin, Dev. I'm very excited to see you, not because we've met, but because you have just tested my follow alerts and they work. And I'm very excited because my entire previous stream, the visuals for my alerts were not working and it was very frustrating and no one cared but me, but I was very frustrated because I'd spent so long getting them to work and then they didn't work. Quadrain has won 5 from the jump catch game. Good job, Quadrain. All right. There's a whole bunch of stuff that Stream Elements can do, which I will play with some more in the future. First time chat from Josh, Austin, Dev. Glad to hear I was able to test something for you. You did, and it worked. The amethyst animation worked from Stream Elements. I moved away from Streamlabs to Stream Elements, and it's hard to get all that stuff working. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was OBS had a bug, had to be restarted, but I didn't want to stop the stream, so I just let it be broken. What? I feel so special. I don't know what I did, though. You caught the star. So occasionally Stream Elements, I think I have it configured to just drop a star once in a while that floats above everybody's heads. And my bar, it says 3.7K next to it. That is how much Latinum you have, Valencia. So Twitch has this thing that rewards people for like being in chat. And then instead of money, it's a gamified Twitch thing of like, you make money for Twitch by being here. I make money for Twitch by streaming, because they show the ads occasionally. And they want people to be incentivized to be in someone's stream, and the streamer to incentivize people to remain in the stream. So they have these like little games, little point things, and you get them by clicking on the treasure chest when it shows up at the bottom, or just by being in chat, having the window open. And I think you get them by being part of a raid and by like chatting maybe. But when you click on the gold bar at the bottom, it has a bunch of things that you can redeem that I've made. And if you click one of those, it'll tell you what it means before you have to actually spend those points. And then if you spend them, then I will do what it says there, because these are things that I made that I promised to do. In the little avatars, that's right, Quadrain, that's what it is. Invest in self-sealing stem bolts. Belgiumet has invested. Good luck in the self-sealing stem bolt market. Belgiumet, I am somewhat concerned by the Ponder Mortality redemption. Feels like we've all been doing that unbidden for the last couple of years. Maybe I should take that out. Maybe it's not the right year for it, given all the death we're surrounded by. It was funny when I made it, but point taken that it may be maybe less ideal now. Wes Weber, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. You are confirming that the follow alerts are working, and I'm very pleased with them. And look at all the stream avatars just dancing, because there's been a follow. That's fantastic. Let's close all this stuff. Okay, so in Emoji Tetra, how do I close out this? Close other tabs. I know there's Log4j. Wicked, evil, tricksy Log4j. It's not evil. Log4j didn't do anything wrong except a bunch of stuff. And I did update it, but I updated it to 2.17.0 because I was responsible and I was updating these when they were still updating, putting out new updates. Time comes for all jokes eventually, I guess. Yeah, the Ponder Mortality joke might have to itself die, because it's not as funny when everyone knows people dying of COVID. So that's a good point. Let's see here. Where's my paper? There's always things to do. And during a stream, you can notice some things. Maybe remove Ponder Mortality. I was more about pondering my mortality, but nobody wants to think about me dying either. Remove Ponder Mortality, because it's not funny this year. It's better to think about sex. I think there's one about thinking about sex in here. Think sexy thoughts. That's more pleasant than Ponder Mortality. Ponder Mortality it's kind of funny, but yeah, it's not that funny. So this one I just had to change 2.17.0 to 2.17.1. I'm sorry, other way around. It was at 2.17.0. I'm upgrading it to 2.17.1 because they found yet another problem in Log4j 2.17.0. Oh, Log4j, I had just set up a Minecraft server when that little tidbit came out. Oh my goodness. Delaney, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay, so let's update, clicking the little elephant to update the Gradle build, which should then, where's the output? Did I make this window too small to fit on stream? Nope, there's no output. Okay. So now we gotta run the tests. So this is the first one that I'm actually upgrading and deploying, so it's gonna be a little more involved, but that's a good thing, because you get to see the whole process. I am running the tests. Here's the output. Green, 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 green. This error message stuff is just part of tests receiving error messages from Twitter. It's normal, correct stuff. The important thing is that over here, this green check mark says that all of the tests passed successfully. There were no compile errors or runtime errors. So upgrading Log4j seems to have done nothing that would break at least a unit test. Josh, AustinDev, have you considered switching Log4j out for a simpler logger that conforms to SLF4j? I mean, I could, and maybe I should at this point, because Log4j they keep finding more vulnerabilities in it. But meh. Seriously, none of these are actually dangerous to me. So it's faster to just upgrade than to remove Log4j. The other thing is I could just remove logging. I don't need logging in these, or I could make my own logging, like date statement or date class statement. Like there's not much to it. I don't need all the other stuff. But where I have it, I'm just like, just upgrade it. It's fine. If I had something that was actually taking user input, I would probably just remove Log4j because it's not worth it. Because I don't want someone finding a vulnerability and I'm actually like, oh, wow, somebody could actually like tweet something at me and that would get inputted, logged, run, and then on the server where it's running, it would like take control of that server, look through all of the stuff, gain access to my Twitter account and do stuff. That would be bad. So if it were, I would definitely consider switching to a different logging framework, or none, or homemade. It's a good question. I don't think it's necessary. Quadrain said, my full stack web dev wife is confused why you would stream coding. Lots of people are. I know lots of programmers, yes. I have talked about this when I used to go to Netflix to play like Dungeons and Dragons and board games, and because I used to work there. And I said that I stream coding, and people were like, why would anybody watch coding? Like, it's interesting sometimes. Aristotle, good. Welcome. Thank you for the follow. Hi. How are you? Delaney, it was just very funny. My girlfriend and I played one day, making a happy little cave and all. Then Blotto. At least it turned out I was able to import our world into the new server. Wow. And at least nobody, took over your server, right? And did stuff to it. Let's see. So now we've run the tests. We're going to build this project to 17.1. And oops, I forgot to change the version number. Let's change the version number as well. Version 1.40, change it to 1.41. And run it again because we want to have a new file, new version number. On that note, I get why, sorta, but that server was stupidly hard to set up as a dingus. The port forwarding was easy, finding the right required downloads to interact with the jar file was more of a trial than it should have been. Oh yeah, don't run that server unless I'm playing. We probably don't need to worry about it, but Exactly, and I don't need to worry about this either. Partly I'm doing this to show people what an example of an upgrade process for Log4j can look like. It could be very different, but it could be something like this. And I want to make sure that my Log4j stuff is all updated without doing a ton of work of like vetting a different logging framework. And also, I wanted something straightforward, like timely, that's interesting because people have been hearing about it, to stream and do some coding. Because I've been told I'm more animated coding than playing video games or board games on stream. And it's true because I know more about it and there's more to say about it. And it's so much puzzle solving, so much problem solving that goes into it that I have a lot to do when I'm coding out loud. But it's been so long since I did it that I wanted something that would be straightforward to code on stream. What is happening? Oh, that's right. It's not called Tetra here. It's called Emoji Tetra. And it's in build libs 141. Save. This is why I have the time, because we're going to see it's 8:15. I'm going to catch up on chat in a minute. This is saving 8:15. 8:15 p.m. EST, fully deployed. The date is this. And when I need to know the time because I need to see if it's working because I'm testing in production, essentially. Belgium, I thought about streaming some of mine a year or so back during one of our lockdowns, decided against it as I don't have a following anywhere to get anyone to tune in because the code all ran on my homebrew CPU. Nobody could see the results anyway. I can't see the results. Well, you could put a camera on it if it's just like a non-standard display or something. But yeah, I mean, building an audience is a whole thing. That's a whole thing. And that's why I made a Twitter bot to tweet my streams live, because I was like, I have a Twitter audience. I do not have much of a Twitch audience. And I cannot multitask the 20 things I'm already doing while streaming, plus stop to take screenshots of myself and tweet them. That's not going to happen. And I always thought, like, people sometimes tweet screenshots of their streams after the stream. You can't do it while you're streaming because then, like, you're taking a picture of yourself of like what you look like when you're taking a picture of yourself. Not a very good picture usually. But that's why I made something that would automatically get random screenshots, delete the ones that got no likes, and get other ones. What's going on in chat? Oops. Belgium, I thought about, suppose a hardware tinkering stream might get more interest maybe. Yeah, you never know. It's mostly about what you find interesting, because your interest, like anything's interesting if there's someone who's interested in it, which is you. And it might get more attention than you think, especially if it's like a little off the wall. But streaming's hard. There's going to be 0 people for an unknown amount of time. It's tricky. And then there's like, how do you build an audience if that's important? Then TikTok, various things. There's strategies, but it's a lot of work. Delaney has won 5 from the jump catch game. Well done, Delaney. You jumped at just the right time. Quadrain, stream and do some coke. No auto captioner, no. Oh, that's what you're talking about. That you were laughing at the auto captioner. Stream and do some coke. It depends if you're in Portugal, where all drugs are legal. I don't think Twitch actually would be okay with that. But you could always say you're pretending. Friday night, baby. Melanie, oh yeah. Did you like whatever was going on with the stream ad tweet bot? Yeah. That was embarrassing. Fishbones80. I like the coding stream. Seeing someone else's thought process, working through problems helps me, I think, in my own work. I thought so too, Fishbones. Thank you and welcome. How you doing? That's why I started streaming coding, even though most people who heard it, like most coders, were like, I don't see why anybody would watch that. And most people who are not coders were like, I don't see why anybody would watch that. So pretty much everybody was like, no, I don't see why everybody would watch that. But the truth is, there's people like yourselves who just like, you want to say hi and hang out and just watch somebody work. And there's tons of people who want to learn a little programming and want to see what somebody else does when they're programming, because programming is weird. The whole experience is very weird, and you always feel like you're doing it wrong and nothing makes sense. And like everybody else knows how to do it better. Maybe some of them do, and they don't. But they know what they know, and they don't know a lot of other stuff. So it can be educational for sure. But more importantly, that education can be delivered in a way that's enjoyable. Okay, so this is deployed, and now it needs to be committed, which is backwards, sure, but whatever. First, I want to come on. First, I want these lines to be staged. This is source tree, which is a visual editor for Git. Git is a version control system. And I'm going to commit these to, let's see, upgrade to log4j. What version is it? 2. 1.17.1. And then separately, I want to commit the lines that are about upgrading the version of emoji tetra to 1.41. Then I want to tag this commit to be called 1.41 because it's a release version. Hold on. So I have I have a lot of in progress enhancement branches for emoji tetra, and this one, dark mode, has very little in it. So I'd like to move that. I'd like to rebase that up on top of this other stuff. I'm sorry, I have to blow my nose again. Pardon me. Quadrain, yep, public health concern, not a criminal concern, and they get to collect taxes on drugs to put towards health. Oh, my chat stopped scrolling. Let me catch up. Fishbones80, it'd be too nerve-wracking for me to stream while I'm working because I'd be constantly worried about screwing everything up and I'd never get anything done. Well, sure. I embrace screwing everything up. The worst thing is when you show your secrets on, like your secret keys on stream, and then you have to be like, ugh, okay, don't clip that. I gotta go change my keys now. Don't look. Or you just turn off the screen and go change some keys. Excuse me. That's why I created my own system for being able to show my keys without actually showing enough for them to be dangerous. Delaney, I'm not a coder, but isn't committing like saving? I do think one would do that before shunting it out. Yeah. I mean, it's the file's saved. But committing is adding a record of like a change that I want to like really save and put on the stack of previous changes and be able to go back to it later and undo it later. With Git, you commit your changes to the repo. So saving your code to wherever on another computer you store it then. Well, dark mode emoji tetra sounds interesting. Yeah, I would prefer it in dark mode. I just haven't finished that yet. So in Git, committing, you would think, and that committing means pushing it to another server, and you would be incorrect. Committing it means copying it to a repository, which they call for short a repo, but a repository can be a local folder on your computer. So you can be still in that folder operating on files on Windows, and you do a git commit, and it goes into some special files in that folder that are just about Git, that are like metadata about the other files, to say like, this is a change that I've marked as like these lines on these files have been changed to add these lines and remove these lines. That commit, that set of changes, is going onto the stack, which is visually represented here, of like the history of changes that I want to keep. And I just did a change on a branch in dark mode, and I'm switching back to the master branch, and I'm gonna push. I pushed the dark mode branch. That went to a remote server at gitlab.com. So origin is the remote server. Origin dark and local dark are both the same files, but in different computers. And master, I need to push master to origin. But I don't have a remote build system, so I'm building locally, so it doesn't matter which one I do first. Yep, you Belgiumet said, Delaney, yep, you say, this is a change I want to save as one unit of work. Yeah. Quadrain, popping away to read books with the kiddos before bedtime. Oh, that's cool. What are you reading? I mean, you're probably gone already, but if you're still here, let me know what you're reading. If you're done before I'm back, check you next time. Cool. Thanks, Quadrain. Delaney, oh, a discrete unit of work that is logged in your action log to make it easier to revert or examine later. That's a very good way of describing it. Kind of like changing a wiki page and viewing the change history. Yes, exactly. Fishbones80 secretly waiting for Joe to bite on explaining Git because it would blow out chat if typed out. Waiting for Joe to bite on explaining Git? Is that what you meant to type? I don't quite understand. You mean to screw up explaining Git? There's no correct way to explain Git. There's just metaphors, all of which are flawed. Git is very confusing, especially when you get to the names that Linus gave to a lot of the actions that you do. Not intuitive. They're not what you think. Okay, so the tetra, um, what's it called? The tetra lambda. Okay, so a lambda is a function um, that runs on Amazon Web Services, and this lambda, I named it tetra. This is the one that runs the emoji tetra account, but it's not the only one that runs the same program. So, Delaney, I think they mean to take the bait and explain Git in speech instead of them typing it all out. Oh, I if it's bait, sure, I'll fall for it. I'll explain whatever you want. I don't know, for you to offer an explanation verbally. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much use there is in explaining Git verbally. You need pictures, you need diagrams to explain Git. But if somebody asks a question and I know the answer, I will attempt to answer it. It's Git. There's no way to just explain Git and have people go, oh, yeah, yeah, that makes perfect sense. It takes practice and trial and error and mentorship to get comfortable with Git. I am so at Git. That's why I use source tree. um, okay, so Tetra, and here's a reason why Fishbones was asking, or somebody was asking, have I considered removing Log4j and switching to something else? Was it Fishbones or was it? It was Josh Austin Dev. I am now thinking more that that's not a bad idea, since there's been another update since the last time I did this. I did this update, and I updated a whole bunch of projects that I think I put emoji tetra in the code in like the placeholder, like what's running on those accounts, so that if I wanted to run them, um, they have their own Twitter accounts where it can just be posting something. And I think all the ones that I have in this file that are like bracket 641 p.m. Connect 4 641, these are future games and stuff that have their own accounts where I've uploaded emoji tetra code. And I used to run it. I turned off why I'm running it because it was costing money to decode its keys, and I have to still make a thing so I don't have to do so much key decoding. So they're off right now, but I might turn them on again. So it's important that the code that they're running be safe. So now I have to go to each of those projects and upload. By the way, this is normally a very bright page, this web page. I have a dark mode browser extension that makes it less horrible to my migrainey brain. Delaney, Fishbones, thumbs up him. Imagine if your filing system hates you, but is useful anyway. Yes, that's very nice. That's very nice. 8:29 p.m. on for bracket. 8:29 p.m. The date. Let's put the date and the version. 2.17.1. So bracket is 8:29. That's deployed. It's not running, I think. Bracket schedule is disabled, but anyway, I put it in. Connect 4. So I just have to do a bunch of deployments now of dormant projects to make sure that they're running code, if I run them, which is safe to run. And that's emoji tetra 1.41, which contains the new log4j. Delaney, I'm going to try using what little I know and heard and infer. Git equals remote coding workstation combination storage combination code weapons platform that can be launched from a la a weapon to surpass Metal Gear. So the problem with your description for me is that I haven't played Metal Gear. So I'm not sure if it can surpass Metal Gear. Other than that, it's correct. Connect 4 has this deployed at 8:30. Fair. Fishbones80, there's a Git XKCD comic you can Google that pretty much sums up Git as the crazy, twisted, yet useful mess that it is. I think there's more than one because Randall is a programmer. Did I just do Connect? I did the Connect 4. Okay, crossword. So crossword, although we did, this is actually two things. Up here is project names, and then down here is Lambda deployments, which are two separate concerns. One is just code that may or may not be running anywhere, and others is like placeholder spots where some code might be running, even if it's the wrong code, because it's not a finished project and it's not actually on the timer. Like crossword doesn't work yet. So if I have something there just to keep the account alive, it's probably Emoji Tetra at the moment. So I need to upload Emoji Tetra there. Number 1597. I think it's enabled. Can you try posting the link? I think I allow links. If I don't, it will fail. But it'll just fail. That'll be fine. I don't mind. Feel free to post the link to the XKCD comic. 1597. Or I can show it. XKCD 1597. Does it fit? Does it fit this Git? This is Git. It tracks collaborative work on projects through a beautiful distributed graph theory tree model. Cool. How do we use it? No idea. Just memorize these shell commands and type them to sync up. If you get errors, save your work elsewhere, delete the project, and download a fresh copy. Yep, that's what I did the first few times. I worked with people who knew Git better than I did, and if I messed up, which I did a lot, I would just be like, okay, let's try that again. And I would just delete the whole thing, download the whole thing, make my changes again. And I told someone I was doing that, and they were like, why don't you just do this? Because he was kind of a know-it-all. He was like not a very helpful coworker. And I was like, because I don't know Git yet. So I'm doing what's faster. He was like, uh-huh. Yeah, I didn't like that guy. So crossword, I believe yes, I did just do that one. It was 8:32. D&D. Yes, I have a thing for a D&D bot. I haven't written the D&D bot, but I have some notes and some ideas of what it would be. And for now, it's just going to be this updated safe code, and then with this here, there's a whole bunch of these. Okay, that one's done. Dr. Emoji. Let's put this code here. You get some code, and you get some code. Fishbones80, then lovely things like Source Tree came out. I love Source Tree. I wish that you could make the font bigger, but otherwise I love it. Belgiumette, well, my lag did for that attempt to catch the star. You caught this? Did you catch the star? No. You would have gotten the points. You try it again. I don't see the star. Maybe you caught it. Okay, Dr. Emoji, we got that one. There's like basketball and stuff in emoji in stream avatars. I haven't figured out how it works yet, but I'm curious to try to figure out more of the games in stream avatars because it does have games other than me drawing platforms and you jumping onto them, which I've done. It's very hard, but it's kind of cool. What am I doing here? This one is dungeon. Dungeon. Some of these are conceptually similar, but vaguely different in my head. Encounter, excuse me, upload jar file, upload this thing, save. This is an argument for what Josh said earlier. Get rid of log4j entirely, especially in the project that I'm copying to the most functions, most Lambda functions. That would be smart. Maybe another time. For now, I just kind of want to finish. Minesweeper. Minesweeper. Half of this is coding updates, half of this is just deploying stuff to places. Minesweeper has the same time as Maze. Pack. Yes, I want to do a Pac-Man bot. I want to do a Pac-Man bot like Emoji Tetra, but with Pac-Man. Very, very, very slow Pac-Man. I might get to it, I might not. There are other ones that are like more obviously interesting. Like a Pac-Man one is like cute, but maybe not like continuously something you'd want to keep playing. I don't know. So that one has the same thing here. Races. Races is simple, cute. It's gonna be simple, cute, like animal races of polls on Twitter. But I didn't make it yet. And a lot of the stuff is just like trying to protect Twitter accounts because they're very hard to keep without them getting suspended for lack of use. So I sometimes run code on them, just code that just pushes tweets out to make sure they're still working and to keep them from getting suspended. But I did talk to someone at Twitter who unsuspended all my Twitter accounts, and I had to go through and add two-factor authentication to every single one of them, which is quite a few. Because she said that she just found out that that was a way to reduce the chance that they get automatically suspended. But I think maybe I can also increase the chance by having them tweet non-spammy, non-repetitive things. I haven't finished doing that yet. But I want to make sure that this stuff is done. So how many more of these are there? This is not the most riveting content to stream. Let's see, roguelite RPG, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I think I'll do these later. Let's move on to another coding change because I know that there's more Emoji Tetra ones here that need to go to deploy. And I'm going to take the times off because those no longer mean as much and just replace them with this, the fact that I still need to do these. I did this one. I did Tetra. I didn't test it yet, and I need to do Tetra Fast because Tetra Fast is running. Belgiumet, I remain saddened that Emoji Snake Game isn't very popular, but I have thoughts and just need to figure out setting up a test version of the bot to experiment with sometimes. I have thoughts too. I think there's the scoring has some problems. It's always the same score pretty much, or close to the same score. Delaney, all right, I gotta vanish, Joe and y'all. It was nice to chat and hang out, and I know you're still in the world. Thank you very much, Delaney, for coming by. It was really good to see you. Have a good evening. Take care. Later night. Thank you. Yeah, people were at first enthusiastic about Snake, and then very quickly not enthusiastic. And I think there's a few reasons it's not popular. One of them is that the threading may be just ill-advised. The fact that it's threading is kind of like a lot for people's timelines, and it's just not necessarily interesting enough to justify all that stuff that keeps popping up again and again. So I've considered maybe removing the threading, or at least in future games trying not threading. There's another snake game which doesn't have walls, it doesn't have space around the snake to show the shape very well, but it operates based on retweets and likes to choose directions to vote. So as a side effect, it has a huge amount of retweets, which means a huge follower count. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. And I also saw people being really annoyed seeing it retweeted so much. It's not mine; it's somebody else's. Uh, but it did make me think of like how to gamify retweets. And the other thing about threading is that things that are replies in a thread have, I think they're reduced in the algorithm of how much they show up. So there's some reasons why it doesn't hold people's attention. And I think maybe it tweets too often. Every 20 minutes is too often, even for something that's like a speed game. Belgium, yeah, I reckon carrying on from the same score at a good game end might help. That's one thing, yeah. Wanted to try implementing that myself and tying some designs for a level counter. Hey, if you want to give it a try, that's some stuff that I have an open ticket for Emoji Snake Game. But I'm also like, people often, when I get into publicly building stuff, bots and features for existing bots, people are very excited about improving what's already there, which is good. But sometimes I want to improve what's already there, and sometimes I'm like, those are moderately successful experiments but I have like a bunch of other ones that I want to make that might be even better. So I want to sink more time into like trying some stuff. Like I think crossword puzzles would be like pretty successful, and it doesn't have to be so much threading. It doesn't really need much threading at all, maybe a little. So I have some thoughts myself about that. But yeah, it's open source. Feel free to mess around. Costume countdown. Okay, so these are the deployed things. Those don't have anything. Okay, fishies. Let's get to the real stuff. So, Moji Tetra's done again, except for the ones that I'll do later. The deployments that I'll do later. Fishies. The very first Twitter project I ever made is Fishies. This is what runs Emoji Aquarium. So this has some color on one of the files, which means there's already something changed. Let me look at that. What's up with that? Where's that at? Bunch of stuff. Nope, don't want that. That's just something, that's just trying something. Discard that. Settings. Okay, so this is important. File path. Yes. I either need to move this to a branch so I know what I'm testing. Oh, function name. Oh, this is some other stuff. Webhook Twitter. What was I doing? What's this? Oh, I don't know. I was just dumping some code somewhere that I was playing with to do something else. Webhook Twitter. Do I want to delete this? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a branch. Branch. In progress. Create branch. And check in some of this stuff. This is important and good, but maybe not essential right now. this, I know what that's about. That's about using the function name of um, the Lambda, what's it called? The Lambda function. Using the name of the function in Lambda to decide which Twitter account to tweet on so that I don't have to spend so much money decoding keys in AWS. I can put the keys into the jar and run something that will, a piece of code that will run differently in different Lambda functions. But it's not finished. It was just the beginning of something, and then I got distracted. Webhook Twitter is something else that has to do with handling responses that come in. And these are all good, useful things. The settings Gradle change. This has to do with having both the build, the Gradle build, and the Java runtime both have access to the same build.properties file, so they can both read the project name and get other files outside the project that are like encrypted keys and stuff for that project. Bunch of stuff. So this is a bunch of stuff that I want out of the way. I don't want to deal with it right now. I'll get back to this later. I'll get back to these later. I could shelve these, but I don't bother shelving a stash. I could stash these, but I don't stash. I just make branches. Stashing is another way in Git to do branching. What did I miss in chat? Fishbones80 said that was something that took me a while to come to realize. Refining and tweaking something can be a good thing, but I've learned more as a developer to move on and do something new and different. Yeah. And I have so many things that are not even started that like the things where I'm like, oh, I have so many ideas for how to make this better. I'm like, yes, but you're polishing something that a small group of people care about to see if a larger group of people might like it better, and they might never notice. Making something new can be more productive. Baljamet, indeed, quick word games are fun. Just look at Wordle going utterly gangbusters. Yeah, really. Oh dear, did uncommitted changes are never fun to untangle. Um, yeah, exactly. That's why I'm just shoving them all into this branch. I know what they are and I can untangle them later, but I don't want to test this right now. And this looks like it's probably correct. It's probably just a slightly better way of doing the same thing. But if the old way was working, I don't need to bother. If the old way was not working, then Emoji Aquarium would not be tweeting. I think that's a true statement, largely. So now we need to, we're going to leave the in progress stuff behind. We're checking out the master branch and close all tabs. And oh, I forgot to check the most important thing. Does it use Log4j? And the answer is no, of course not. It was my first Twitter project, and I didn't bother because I wasn't in the mood to set up Log4j because it's kind of a pain to set up the first time. And since it doesn't use it, I can mark it done. No Log4j. Fishies, done. And up here, Fishies the project and Fishies the Lambda function are now completed. Follow. Follow is not deployed. It's something I run locally to look through like people's follower lists, get very large follower lists of myself or other people, and like find interesting people who might be following me or whatever. I do various things to look at follower lists and following lists to look for overlap and help my friends when they're being harassed and like who's following who's following this bad person, and who do you want to talk to about that. Does it contain Log4j? No. Could just type it in. Log4j. No, it's not there. Cool. That's done. Follow has no Log4j. Iris. Iris doesn't have Log4j because Iris is just a project that contains a JSON file listing the messages for when I'm Twitch streaming. Each game and each subcategory of each game of like what the title might contain has like show you. It's not secret. It's literally public. It's entirely public. Iris has inside of it a one file, a Twitch promo -messages.json, and it looks like this. Oh no, I just realized that they changed this function. Okay, we got something to do right now because my Twitter is going to be wrong. Wrong. So, my current Twitch game category is... Nope. What window is this? Okay, here we go. We don't want theater mode. Exit theater mode. It's software and game development. That is the new name. It is not what Twitch used to make you use for this stuff, science and technology. And I missed that. I didn't realize that. But GitLab has been making it easier to change this file, which is pretty cool. If this ever works, it's not loading correctly. Usually when I load this, it comes up with color coding and an edit box that lets me edit here. Thank you for the follow, SCRX4. Welcome. It's Joe's all the way down. Yeah, sorry about that. I just had to get the correct string of what category we're using right now. Okay, why is this? Oh, I know why. Because I have the light thing set that's making all the colors not work. So what I need is to change this to software and game development, and then commit this to master, change programming. This is updating to Twitch's new computer programming game name or category name. Category name. Commit to master branch. Cool. So now that I did that, my tweets should make a little bit more sense. I think that what it's probably tweeting, I can go check, but the default is like time for science, time for software and game development. Nonsense tweets. Let's have a look. Let's look at what terrible nonsense my system is tweeting now. Updating log4j. That's the name of the stream. Live on Twitch playing software and game development. Nah. Yeah. Meh. Yeah, so here's someone saying, haha, log4j, here, let me send some stuff to Riker Googling. Why does Quark keep sending me JNDI LDAP Latinum minor .com? The assumption whenever I tweet about updating log4j for Twitter bots is that there must be a danger. It must be listening to replies. It's not listening to replies. There's no danger. Belgiumette, I use the ubiquitous cheap Chinese model gray thing with a small drawer at the front, timer knob on top, but it has some safety issues to be aware of. Oh my, what have I missed? Quadrain, that was painless. Yeah, if you mean the change that I made, the nothing change, to fishies. Fishbones, I think I'm gonna have to give in and just buy a proper UV lamp to erase EPROMs. My wife's poor nail polish curing lamp thing just isn't up for the task. I don't know what EPROMs are. Good idea, use a different wavelength. I think it will be pretty slow. What did I miss? EPROMs? That's what you're talking about, the cheap Chinese model. Has some safety issues. I took it apart to bypass the switch that just keeps it on for 30 seconds at a time. I guess I should fix that too. Or doing some hardware hacking, that's cool. So this is a strange message, live on Twitch playing software and game development, but it's obviously quirky and odd, but it got 4 likes. It's quirky and odd in a slightly amusing way. But now that I've fixed this, I think it's going to, the next time it tweets, it won't pick from one of these generic I'm playing so-and-so. It will pick from one of the top messages that says software and game development, like working on a Twitter bot while I live stream. So anyway, that was fortunate. though Iris does not contain log4j, it did have a problem. Iris doesn't have a Lambda function because it doesn't have any code, any executable code. It's just some data. So we're done with that. Next. Open. Java Twitch API Helix. Not my code. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Cancel. Keep alive. So keep alive, I just started, and it's not deployed anywhere, and it's not finished. It's just something that's going to tweet something on all my Twitter accounts that have no followers, that I just want to keep them tweeting so that they're less likely to get suspended by the auto system, because even the person that I know at Twitter can't guarantee that they won't get suspended again. She just got them unsuspended for now, and we're finding ways of reducing the chance of them getting suspended again. This does not contain log4j, so it's done. Confirmed. No log4j in keep alive, which I think I forgot to put here because it was too new. Keep alive, no log4j. Oh, sorry, I'm missing some chat. Fishbones, yep, I'm one of them now. Valencia 112, I'm not into YouTube as a creator. I subscribe to different people, but every once in a while I make videos on Instagram showing what perfume I would wear for the day. That's nice. Belgiumit, that's an interesting concept. Do you describe the sense? Yeah, I'm playing software. Quadrain, no, sorry, that was random to just drop. I got the kiddos to bed. Good. Congratulations. Valencia, sometimes I do. I'm always fascinated when I realize people are paying attention to what I post. Yeah, you never know, right? You put a bunch of stuff on the internet, and occasionally people care. It's very unpredictable. Games Cupboard. Hey, Games Cupboard. Sorry, I'm pulling a Casey and not keeping up with chat very fast. Good evening, Joe. This looks cool. I'm not familiar with the back end of Twitter. Oh, I don't even know if Twitter's familiar with the back end of Twitter. This is the back end of my Twitter bots. It's a very small part of what's going on. This is Lambda Twitter base. This should have log4j in it if I were very responsible about logging. Fortunately, I'm not. So this doesn't have log4j, which is why so many of my other projects that copy this Lambda Twitter base project also don't have log4j. And that's good because it's less work. Lock alert. Let's just mark this. No log4j. Lock alert. This I'm probably never going to use. This is, I barely remember. This was supposed to email me if I had set a lock on whether a different bot that I also haven't made was on when it shouldn't be. I don't know. This does have log4j. Let's update it. What version am I supposed to use? I forget. 2.17.1. All right, we're going to do some actual coding now. Amazing. Games covered. Panda Angel. Hi, Panda. Hi, Joe and Chapin lurking and will continue to lurk. Welcome. You can just listen to me talk about code. It's all good. Valencia, hey, Panda. Games covered says, hey, Panda Angel, you're always on the channels I'm watching. Because Panda Angel is everywhere. She is a goddess. Fishbones80 said EPROMs are non-volatile chips that held small amounts, less than 128K roughly, of data. Originally, EPROMs had a glass window in the chip that you could expose UV light to erase them. Later on, EPROMs came out that were electrically erasable. Games covered. Twitter bots. Yes, exactly. They were used a lot more than about 40 years ago, but I'm building an NES game cartridge that holds a hacked version of a game ROM. That's amazing. Every time anyone's doing anything technical, it's amazing. Especially if it's something that I don't know how to do. We have good taste. Yeah, I mean, Games Cupboard is like hardcore puzzle person. He's always in working on the what do they call puzzle hunts in Ambient Crystal's Discord, for Board Game Blitz. Because Ambi's really into puzzles. I'm really into puzzles. Games Cupboard's really into puzzles. Sophia and a couple other people are really into puzzles, and they do a lot of puzzle hunts. I occasionally join in, and it's really fun and it's really hard, and it's really good to have like a lot of people in there working on them because they're really hard. They just do not help you figure anything out. So I just upgraded this Log4j version to 2.17.1 from um, some old 1 dot something version, which means there's going to be code in here that just flat out does not compile anymore, and we're going to fix it. Even though this is not deployed, it doesn't work. Well, so this encryptor, let's just make sure it's not deployed. If it's not deployed, it's less important that it works right now, and I can get to it later. Yeah, lock alert is not even running. I've never had it running because I don't think I ever finished it because it doesn't do anything yet. So the fact that the tests are not passing is actually a deeper problem with the project, which auto caption is stuck and scrolled up again. Thank you. Come on, auto caption. So this web captioner changed. Thank you. They used to have an internal web server thing that would let you just make a browser source and it would just work. And then they changed it, so they got rid of that in place of like webhooks to feed the text into OBS so you can feed it to Twitch so they can display it in their closed captioning system, which works sorta. But the only other way to use web captioner is screen capture, but the JavaScript in web captioner doesn't correctly keep it in the right place, so it's actually really bad for screen capture. So I'm not thrilled with web captioner at the moment, but I don't have a really good alternative. The closed captioning of Twitch, I sort of was trying it, and it's like, well, then it doesn't show up in the export correctly on YouTube. You're kind of counting on YouTube to again auto caption you. I decided for now I want to try just putting text on the screen in the video, but web captioner seems to be very buggy in its display. MIT Mystery Hunt started. We were too late to register. Yeah, I saw that. That was too bad. Fishbone said, so what's the nasty safety issue for these EEPROM labs? Let's hear about some danger. So what's happening here, and this happened with another project, is there's something wrong in IntelliJ, this IDE, where if I go to the module settings, it's just not using, it's either not reading Groovy correctly in some way, or it's not, like the Groovy code isn't recognizing the Java code for some reason. Like the Java code hasn't been compiled into the right place or something. I don't know. If I go in here and look at some code, here's like, is there anything that has errors in it? There's a red squiggly here that's only in the test. Okay. Is log4j really used here? Or did I just add the library and not yet use any logging? Entirely possible. Let's see. Log. Here's some log. That's the log4j that's in Twitter4j, another library. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's look again. Airtable database. This is me. Here it says log.info and it's red. So that means it's not working. And this logger is red. And these imports are red because this is not working. So this is where log4j1 and log4j2 have different syntax. And I need to just grab an example. Let's open up Emoji Tetra. Find an example to copy. Log. Log. Log manager, Twitter poll maker. Perfect. So we need these two import statements. Not this one. Ugh. And it's not even recognizing it because it hasn't rebuilt the Gradle project yet or something. Eesh. Belgiumet said, big one for me was they just have a hole in the front to use as a power light. You don't want to look at that too much. Other one is longer term, but the all plastic construction means the UV could render the casing brittle over time and let light out through cracks. Also, I don't think there's an interlock to stop you opening it with the light on. Wow. That sounds like some OSHA stuff. So this, even though I did change this, log4j. Oh, did I change it correctly? I may not have changed it correctly. I think they changed how you, that's right. You don't just change the version. Um, you have to do this. And some of these I put log4j in. Oh, that's right. I do have to do this. I can't just remove log4j because I have libraries that use log4j, but their settings in those libraries are bad. And they have all these spurious warnings coming out of other libraries that are embedded in libraries I'm using that use log4j, but not very well. And I have to override their log4j to make sure that it's using my log4j settings so so my log messages won't be full of all these spurious errors that are very confusing and distracting when there's supposed to be no problem. SRX4 caption thingy broke again, I think. Thank you. I think you're right, and I wish I knew a way to make it stop doing that without just keeping it always in the front of everything. Whoa. Yeah, it's not great. Why is it doing that? It's so weird. It's so weird. It's jumping all the way to the side. I'm gonna refresh it. I think it's just lost its mind. Here we go. Start captioning. Okay. Is it working? It's too tall. So now it's not doing the thing where it's super tall anymore. Okay, now I gotta fix this. So let's fix this thing. Because it's got some problems. So sad. And because I'm doing coding, I'm doing full screen. That's why we're looking at all funky, wacky stuff right now. Is because, sorry, that's huge. Is because I'm just doing full screen because it's really the only reasonable way that I can do programming is full screen. There's too much that goes on when you're programming that like just showing the IDE, it's not enough. You got to show the IDE and you got to show a certain browser and you got to show a certain place where you're doing commits and other stuff. Okay, so let's fix this bottom. Fix the bottom. 60. Shrink that. Okay. Great. All right, we'll see how long that works. I'm disappointed in Web Captioner. I was really into it for a while, and now it's kind of letting me down. I'm like less excited about it because it's kind of problematic. Thank you very much, SCRX4, and also thank you for chatting so that I know that you are not just a bot that is maybe something weird, because your name is a little bit odd having no vowels. I'm not sure what it means, but welcome. What did they say in chat? I also don't think there's an interlock to stop you opening it with the light on. Belgiumet, when the timer broke on mine, I opened it up, bypassed it, and added some foil inside as a light shield, plus a neon as a power light, and plugged the hole in the front. Games covered. It always seemed odd that exposing a chip to UV light could erase a chip, but I guess it's like a magnet for a floppy disk. I guess so. Quadrain, gonna go play some games with friends on BGA later, Joe and chat. Right on, Quadrain. See you later. Okay, so this project is borked in a couple of ways, and it's annoying me. But it's lock alert. It's not in use, and I have better things to do than fix it. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. It's just some code that I started to have, that I started working on many years ago and may or may not keep. Like, deleting the whole thing would be a valid solution to this problem. So I kind of think clear database locked accounts list if no accounts are locked. Oh, what was this for? This was to tell me, this was to alert me when some of my accounts get locked. Oh, well, I never finished it, so whatever. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just stage this commit and just be like, update log4j lib library, but code still needs work. And push to the server. And I kind of don't care that it doesn't work because I don't know how much of that project worked anyway. It wasn't in a working state. It's just some code that if I get to it, I'm giving myself some technical debt that doesn't matter very much. SCRX4, I'm just not creative in any way when it comes to names, so I kept shortening it until it made no sense anymore. Well, what was it? Now I want to know the history of SCRX4. Was it like Scruffy Exterminator for Liberty? Scrax for, I don't know. No, it wasn't, but I kind of want to have that name now. Scruffy Exterminator for Liberty? Yeah. Markov. Okay, Markov is a real project that really is running. It's not very popular, but it is running. Let's open up Markov. A Markov bot is a type of bot, which, oh, it's got one of these things. It's probably going to work. You know what I need to check is whether I did emoji tetra correctly and if it's working. Let's see if it's working. That's why I've been writing the times, because I wanted to know if emoji tetra and an emoji tetra fast were still working correctly after I did the deployments. So 6 minutes ago, emoji tetra fast tweeted, and it looks like everything is going smoothly. That's good. And emoji tetra, check if I can change it to that. I think it's too long, but you can lengthen it if you want. How about anyone else have suggestions for SCRX4 to extend the name, their name to have vowels in it and mean something? Scratch X. X is a difficult letter to put into things. Screx, no. Scrax. Can change my display name here in 3 weeks and 2 days. Oh, I see. Well, you got plenty of time to think about it then. Games covered. This is interesting. It's late here though, so I'm off. I'll have to make sure I tune in again. That's cool. That's cool. Games covered. I'll see you later. Get some sleep. Thank you for coming. Dr. Haggis Pants. Greetings, fellow humans. Well, that's convincing. I'm sure you're human now. Greetings. Welcome. I'll be writing down the name you said because it's glorious. What did I say? Scruffy Exterminator for Liberty. I was thinking Scruffy from Futurama from the beginning of your name, and then I was like try to put an X in there. He could be an exterminator, and it's got to be for something because you got a 4 in there. Just ask Big Pharma for help on naming things with the letter X in it. That's right. Could get bad medicine off the shelf if I make some drug names. SCR4X. Ooh, Belgiumets thinking laterally. Okay, so Emoji Tetra tweeted 8 minutes. Tweeted, let's see, at 9:02. That's after I did the deployment. So it looks like it's working smoothly. No one noticed any hiccups. It's all good. Markov. So let's open up Markov. We're done with log alert. Sure, it doesn't compile. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm probably never going to use it. Markov, this window. Markov does run. It is running. And it seems like I was in the middle of changing a lot of projects to have this bit of code in them. And I think that's fine. This is part of making the build properties file get moved into source main resources so that both Java and Gradle can access the contents of it. And all it really has is root project name is Markov. It's just a big workaround, very big workaround for to move the contents of settings Gradle into something that can be accessed by Java so that I can copy a project and it'll all work the same way as my other projects, where they can all reach outside the project at runtime, no, at build time, to grab the files from crypt and cipher, which I showed you at the earlier part of the stream. I showed a little bit too much of the projects where we have the encryption keys and the values to get to decode, to decrypt the secrets that let me access my Twitter accounts, my Twitch accounts, things like that. Yada, yada, yada. But there's basically a file for each of my projects, and I need those other pieces of code let me get root project name at runtime as well as at build time, which I need both. It took a long time to figure out. So I'm going to commit that because I believe it's probably correct, and we'll see. Oops. Open. Nope. Yes. What's going on in chat? Fishbones, no. Skrex4. Synthpop is back. Wow, is Synthpop back? Welcome, Synthpop is back. I didn't know it ever left, but I also don't know what Synthpop is. I know what synth is, and I know what pop is. The X and the 4 just ended up in there because SCR was taken and I was going up numbers till it let me. Well, but now, you know, this is how culture gets created. People have conversations and things happen. So now the 4 isn't just incrementing, it actually means for something. As I said, I'm not creative. It's a creative solution to a problem. Baljamet, okay. Okay, I should try to sleep. It's late early again. Cheers, Joe, and everyone in chat. Fun stream as always. Thank you, Baljamet. Thank you for coming by. Go get some sleep. Good night. Darn right it is. Synthpop is back, baby. It never left. Markov. Here we go, Markov. A Markov bot. Does anyone want to know what a Markov bot is? Does anyone know what a Markov bot is? Hey, who in chat wants to explain what a Markov bot is? You all were pretty good at explaining what Git was. I'm really glad I couldn't sleep and checked in here, so I have a new glorious name pending. Thank you, Joe. Yes, it is Joe. Thank you. I believe the name that the first attempt that I made to expand your name was Scruffy Exterminator for Liberty. Now, I'm not in love with the Liberty part because it sounds a little like right wing. I was just like, for something positive, and that was a word that came in my head. But I got no problems with Scruffy Exterminator. It's a little long. I mean, if you want something short with the letter X, there's the word axe, and there's the word excellence. That just sounds corporate. Scruffy excellence for deployments. Markov. Let's just see. Markov's really old. It was one of the earlier bots that I made. It does not have log4j, so we're done with Markov. But I will briefly tell you what Markov is while we're here. Markov is a Markov bot. Takes a bunch of source text and generates new messages from the source text that are based on the source text with an algorithm that says like, well, what words generally come after this word? So if I pick a starting word, what words tend to come after that word, and then what word tends to come after that word, and what word tends to come after that word, and it builds nonsense sentences based on that algorithm. And you end up with stuff like this. Riker ebooks. So Riker Googling, if you're here but you don't know what Riker Googling is a Twitter account that I write by hand. It is not written by a bot. With stuff like ghosts that put out, why do musketeers use swords, not muskets? What did NFT stand for? Humanoid species, erogenous zones, table, Wikipedia. Things that I think Commander Riker would Google. And then Riker ebooks is the Markov bot taking those tweets and making up new original Google searches that don't make as much sense based on what word tends to come after each previous word. How to use Snapchat Klingon sorority house of fireworks from being mean dick is my search histories. For example, Dudekot's Cardassian butt touching okay to the mirror universe? Does anyone still exist? That sort of thing. That's a Markov bot. Scrix4 said, I guess I'll keep expanding on the last part. I'm scared to appear right wing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, just the word liberty kind of sounds a little, it's been co-opted. For sale or rent. That's for the maybe pile. Thank you. Yes. And a markup bot assemble. Oh, here we go. Baljamet has a markup bot assembles sentences by analyzing existing text and finding likely words to go next. Yes. But I'm lagging again and already said goodbye, so I'll leave you to it. Well, I'm lagging because sometimes I get involved talking to the camera and don't want to get interrupted by the text messages coming up in chat at that moment. Riker Googling is so good. I like it a lot. Thank you very much, Scrix. Valencia. Oh, that explains it being mentioned in the rewards section. Yes. I made an assumption there that make Riker Google in the rewards section of my rewards and challenges down there, channel point redemptions, that a lot of people who are likely to come in here probably know. They probably know Riker Googling more than they know me. Some of them do. It depends what I'm doing. Occasionally I'll like play a Star Trek game and I'll have Riker Googling and Picard Tips retweet my stream tweets to be like, hey, Star Trek people, come let's play Star Trek. So then I get more people coming in being like, you make Riker Googling? Oh my god. Because Riker Googling has 116,000 followers and I have fewer. I have like 50,000. And I have like 500 Twitch followers, so might as well get the Twitter people to come on over. So Markov, no log4j, fantastic. I also want to mark it here. Oh, it's not here. This note is a little messy because I didn't really organize myself when I was doing it. I just wanted to make sure I had a place to check things off as done or not done. Meadow. Meadow's important. Let's go to Meadow. Dr. Haggispants followed. Thank you very much for the follow, Dr. Haggispants. Welcome. Oops. That's okay. Let's close the other window. Okay. So Meadow is very specifically this. Emoji Meadow. I could also show you what Fishies refers to. Emoji Meadow is a Twitter bot, a Twitter account that tweets every 3 hours a random meadow out of emojis. And sometimes the meadow has a little animal in it, like this one has a turtle. And sometimes there's a little maze. This one has a mouse going around in the grass around the flowers to get to the cheese. Hydrate. All right, thank you. Stretch sitting down. Let's go. Camilo Hurtado 25, welcome. I hope that that's not a bot name and a regular person's name. And if so, welcome and thank you for the follow. I'm gonna stretch. Valencia has requested it. I think it's a great idea. I'm gonna hydrate as Scrix4 has requested, has redeemed. Oh, feel free to stretch along with me. Oh. Stretching is excellent for my body to wake up and move its blood around and remember not to let all of my fluids just pool and increase my risk of a migraine. And now that I remember that, since I don't have a timer for it yet, all humans here. Oh, good, good, good. No bots, nothing alien. I'm going to hit this one myself. the Get Up and Dance to test it. The Get Up and Dance is extremely important for my ability to stream because it makes it less likely for me to get a migraine as quickly, which lets me stream longer. When I was playing Escape Simulator with Ambi earlier in the week, that was really fun. There was this unexpected, fantastic bonus. Confirm just humans. Wonderful. Thank you for saying something in chat, Camilo Hurtado 25. Just that and Fleet Command. I still check back. Oh, I missed it. Check back into Star Trek Online from time to time. There's not much really else in terms of Star Trek games. That's the one that I was referring to. Yes, Star Trek Online is the one. There are a few others, but that's the main one. That's the one that I have streamed before. Escape Simulator, every 15 minutes you finish a room, and then the characters on the screen are dancing, and I was like, oh, let's dance. Which is great. I felt so good after that stream. Usually I get off a stream and I'm like, oh, I got a little migraine starting. I was sitting too long. But that one was like, that was just a workout. It's just good times, laughs, and like solving puzzles, and then dancing. Fantastic. Fishbone said, I think your mic is a bit low. I need to turn up the volume to hear you, but the follower notifications are pretty loud. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that feedback. I'm going to fix that right now. So let's see. My desktop audio is up all the way. Clearly a mistake. My mic audio is not up nearly as much as it should be. I'm putting my mic up all, that's maybe going into the yellow, but not the red. Okay, so I'll take it down a skosh. But now my mic should be quite loud. You can all change your volume now so that I'm not too loud. But I'm making sure that my voice is the loudest thing because it's the most significant sound of this stream. There's no game audio or anything that matters, and I'm not playing music this time. My desktop audio, I will put around 75%. And my alerts, you said the alerts are pretty loud. I can knock those down a little. And I'll put shout out clips down a little in case they do any shout outs. Sound alerts definitely are always too loud, so I'm going to lower this Epic Sax guy. That looks good. Yay! Thank you. Oh god, that's loud. Okay, sorry. Let's change that even more. So sound alerts go down more. The sound alerts are cool, but they do have a major volume problem, all of them. That and Fleet Command. I assumed you streamed 25th rather than STO. What's 25th? 25th anniversary something? No, it was STO. I was playing STO. Fleet Command was that mobile thingy. I like that mobile thingy a little bit. I didn't really do it very long, but it was kind of funny. Thank you for adjusting the audio. Thank you for telling me the audio problems. You might often think streamers have like weird audio stuff and that's how they want it. It's probably not. Some of them may get a little annoyed at like corrections of the audio if it's like small things. I don't. I really appreciate it because I hate audio problems and I can't tell if I'm having one unless somebody tells me. I think I tried it at some point, but I'm not a huge fan of mobile games, so I dropped it rather quickly again. Yeah, me too. I like some mobile games, but that was not really my bag. It's just okay. Okay, let's do some coding. Let's do something. So Meadow. Is there anything in Meadow that's like still to be committed? Yes, there is. There's this thing. It's probably fine. But I obviously didn't finish a whole bunch of these that I had changed and just never got distracted and never finished updating them. I think this change that you were seeing over and over in so many things. Oh, this is Markov. So this still has to get fixed in Markov. But for Meadow, let's see if it's the same. I bet it is. Meadow. Yeah. No. Grid spec has some lines, some blank lines. That's nothing. Discard that. Settings Gradle. Yeah, it has this thing too. So obviously I went through a whole bunch of projects, made the same change to all of them years ago, and then didn't touch these for a long time. And and didn't commit them and didn't test them and didn't do anything that I needed to do. So let's just review this code because it's happening everywhere and I just want to see what it says. So the old code that's in red, good night all, off to bed, off to get ready for bed. Good night, Panda Angel. Thank you for coming by. I will see you later. We'll play some games. It's pretty late here for me in the East Coast. I'm probably going to turn into right on. Absolutely. Thank you for coming by and chatting. Good night, Panda. So the old code said properties load new file, source main resources build properties, new data input stream. The new code says string file path root dir.absolute path plus file.separator, which is slash, plus source main so and so. Oh yeah, I think so. There was a new version of IntelliJ that like somehow its Gradle implementation worked differently, and it found it was like operating from a different place of where to start from when it was finding things like new file so and so. It was like, well, what folder am I starting in? And the old IntelliJ's Gradle said, I'm starting in the root of this project. The new IntelliJ's Gradle said, I'm starting somewhere else. And the solution that I found was, after a lot of Googling, was there's this root dir variable in Gradle, and it has an absolute path. So it's like from the root of the computer, C: something. And it gets through that absolute path. Then there's a slash. Then there's this string. That's the file path. And we replace this red line, we replace this inner string with the full file path, including all the whole thing from C:, or whatever it's. I think it's C:, because Java uses C: for file locations. And dot new data input stream is here. So this is fine. I believe this is going to work. If it doesn't work, I'll find out. However, this is, oh no, I think I do have to do this. If I'm going to deploy it, I do have to have this change in order for it to build correctly and get the keys it needs to successfully tweet. Gotta keep playing and try not to explode. Oh yes, I'm glad that you said that, Panda. We have so many more keep talking and nobody explodes levels to do. I need to practice my Morse code reading of blinking lights. But more importantly, you now have the bomb, and I can read you the instructions, and we can do some more disarming of bombs. I look forward to it. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that offline. Have sweet dreams. Dream of playfully exploding bombs with me in a fun way. That's not dangerous or scary at all. Synth Pop is back. Did you happen to see that explodes run at AGDQ? AGDQ is something games done quick. I forget what the A stands for. I did not see the explodes run, but that sounds pretty cool. I bet they were really good at it. If you really want to be good at keep talking and nobody explodes, you memorize the manual. And oh, awesome, thank you. Awesome games done quick. You memorize the manual and you don't need that much help. That's how you go fast. You basically just solo the game, just like fix. It was very fun. Oh, that sounds good. I saw they had like 36,000 people watching. A friend of mine is one of the hosts sometimes, so I was like checking it out, but she wasn't hosting at that time. I think I do have to include this. So update how to get directory folder. Forget directories. Directories are so 1998. Folder location for keys file. Because new IntelliJ Gradle doesn't find root, doesn't find project root the same. Doesn't find like it used to, like it did. Neat. now, oh, I forgot to check. Do I even need to bother today? Is this important? Or is this project old enough that I don't have log4j in it? I didn't have to do that because this project doesn't have log4j in it. But what's good is that I did I did do that, so the next time that I make a change and deploy this, if it fails, I'll have that record of why it failed. But all I have to do for now, for today's mission, is mark Meadow as no log4j and move on to the next one. Meadow, no log4j. Petting Zoo. Petting Zoo is much newer, and it might have log4j, but this time I'll do it in the correct order. I will check whether it has log4j before I check anything else. It does not. Except in the horrifying way that Twitter4j may already have log4j in it. I don't know. That's a horrifying thought. Maybe all of these are dangerous because they all have log4j. Log. There's nothing in my code that uses the word log in this project. So that's it for that. I'm saying it has no log4j. Whether log4j is part of Twitter4j is just something that popped in my head just now as a very real possibility. Or maybe it's Airtable. But this one doesn't have a database, so we're good. We're good to go. Petting Zoo is done. Next, pull game base. I'm saying this window, and then maybe I'm clicking the wrong thing. It seems like it's sometimes saying the wrong thing. Pull game base isn't running anywhere. It's where I thought that I was doing. I have a template project called Lambda Twitter Base that I use to just make new Twitter bots, and like just change like what it's outputting. But I started making more poll games, and I was like, if I'm gonna make like 6 poll games, and I have 2, I should move as much poll game code as I can, whatever they share, into a project. I tried doing that. It was actually much harder than I thought. So I didn't finish, and I kind of feel like maybe it's better to just get bits and pieces from different projects when I make a new one, and not try to make this intermediate level template project. I don't know. But this does have log4j. Does it have logging? Probably. Yeah, no, maybe. It has something. It has logging because, oh, unused. Because, well, if it's unused, can't I just delete it? Maybe it's just because this is a copy of another file from the Twitter4j library, but this one is hacked to use cards, which are polls. It's how Twitter implements polls. Before there was any poll access to the Twitter API, which they added recently, this was the hack to work around the lack of that access. And the file in Twitter4j did use log4j, and therefore I'm just facing the horrible reality that Twitter4j has log4j in it, and that therefore I might have a dependency that does use log4j in more things than I realized. Yuck. Which means I should upgrade log4j in all of the ones that use that library. Ew. All right. All right. Let's do it. At least let's do this one. Dr. Haggispan, so many bots. What is the collective noun for bots? Maybe it's like otters, a business of bots? I don't know. They're not animals, so I don't think there's an official organization that gives names to groups of those things. What's one that we did do? Emoji Tetra is kind of my standby reference point for this stuff. So I will do this. Log4j goes here, and log root logger, yada yada yada. None of that stuff matters. What matters is these things. Oh, we gotta click the elephant to rebuild the project, and now we should see that this doesn't compile anymore. What happened? Oops. No. That this. What? What's happening? There's no import statement for logger, so it shouldn't compile. But it's not trying to compile. That's not good. Run all tests. A data center. Nice. A data center of bots. A murder of ravens. A data center of bots. Sounds right. I'll buy it. Okay. The tests run. So, but what is logger? Like, oh, logger's a Twitter4j class. I see. And logger factory is a Twitter4j class. See, they wrote their own logger. I could do the same thing, although are they using Twitter4j? I'm not sure they are. I think possibly Airtable.java is the one that was using log4j. They do a few things that are kind of iffy. But that seems fine. The tests pass. It's not deployed anywhere. It doesn't do anything by itself. It's just some code reference for making other projects. Let's go to pull game base. Yeah. All right. So we got that bit of stuff of the upgrade. We got one of these settings Gradle dealies. Let's commit that. Commit options. Want to use amend latest commit? No. I just want to use the same. Oh yeah, same message as before. This. Update how to get folder location for keys file because new IntelliJ Gradle doesn't find project root like it did. Beautiful. And then build.gradle. Let's find another thing. Update log4j upgrade to log4j 217.1. Commit. Push to origin. Wait, did it push? I don't know. There it goes. It's pushing. Fantastic. So now we got this project. It's not deployed, but pull game base has. Sorry, it's not that it's no log4j. It's that it's done. Copy. What time is it? 9:43. Oh, I should probably stop soon. Let's see if I can finish. What's next? What's next? I don't know if I can finish. There's a bunch. Pull game based stuff to add maybe. What a beautiful name, right? Obviously not. This is not a project that the path is not a valid Git repository. Yeah. But does it have log4j? Let's see. It's so not a fully made project that I didn't even put Git in it. I don't know what's in here. This was just some thoughts and things. There's no build Gradle, so that means there's no libraries and no log4j. Great. That's just some notes. Princess. Princess is a bot. It's a bot. Oh, I didn't show you one of them, a couple of them. So we saw Emoji Meadow. Fishies from earlier, that's to power Emoji Aquarium. I'm so fixated on the code, I forget that people don't know what the code does. Emoji Aquarium makes random emoji aquarium views with plants on the bottom and fish on the top, and once in a while some sort of object on the bottom, like an anchor or a castle. Lovely, peaceful. And Petting Zoo is Tiny Petting Zoo. The Petting Zoo project is the Tiny Petting Zoo Twitter account, which makes these little petting zoos with some fences. I would like to redesign the fences. They don't look good. They don't look as good as they used to. The spacing has changed on Twitter for what these things look like. Haven't seen that one. Yeah, it's not as well known. It's more frequent, more recent. Sexy Friday night Git commits. Oh yeah. What do you do on a Friday night? I like to do some Git commits. Sometimes on a webcam. um, I when I first launched this, somebody was like, "They're not fences. They're lockers. The animals are in a high school hallway." And I was like, "That's fine. I get it. I get what you're seeing there." It's not my intent, but I looked and looked for characters that would render a fence in a nice way. Haven't found them yet at all. Something that looks like fences and renders in a size on both like desktop web in Windows as well as like iPhone Twitter app, renders in a way that looks about the right width. Even this looks pretty wrong. When I have like pretty big text on iPhone, this doesn't render well. The fence like wraps onto two lines. I don't like it. I need to find something else to do with that fence. But that's Tiny Petting Zoo, which is the Petting Zoo app we looked at earlier. And now we're going to look at Princess, which is, this has that same bit of code that so many of the projects have, where we change the method for getting the absolute path. Fencing, thank you, yes, exactly. That's the only fence emoji. And this has some changes to some of the names for princesses. I don't have to deal with those yet. Not the priority today. But emoji princesses, entirely inspired by every sheriff, which renders sheriffs of like a stick figure based on made out of an emoji. With finger guns and stuff. And I just changed it a little bit and made them into princesses. Because Alexandra Aaron made a joke once about that on Twitter. And I was like, that could be a Twitter bot. And now it is. Such as, pleased to meet you, I'm the princess of men holding hands. How do you do? I'm the princess of green hearts. Things like that. Now we will check whether princess has log4j. This window. I say this window, and yet it doesn't use this window, or it just like moves the window. It closes the other window and it makes a new one that's in the wrong place and size. Do you have log4j in here? No, you do not. Good. So I don't have to do anything with that today. There are some outstanding changes to it, but they're not important to do today. Racing. Racing is not finished. But does it have code? It does. It has a project. It has a project with some sort of code. I didn't finish it because I wasn't in the mood. But I will. Build.gradle shows no log4j. Good. Good, good, good. No log4j in racing. Racing is gonna be a bot that races. Oh, I see. Races is the function placeholder in Amazon Web Services to run something to the emoji racing account. But I think it's currently off anyway. But the idea is emoji races will eventually have snail races and things. where you just have a whole bunch of snails and you just vote on which one you want and then watch them go, or horse races or cow races, um, or various different animals racing each other. Pretty simple poll joke that never gets old. Does not contain log4j, is done, moving on. Relay. Relay is very important to me. Relay is a system I made to have my Twitter bots retweet each other on a sort of complex, hard to understand schedule. Time to hydrate. And maybe have a cookie. Maybe have a cookie with some milk. What time is it? It's almost 10. I gotta go feed the cats. Probably have to stop soon. Let's see how much we can do before 10. This one has log4j. Let's go. Let's get some log4j stuff in here. Open, emoji tetra, copy. Copy the new stuff. Put it in the old stuff. Save. Click the elephant. Now we look for places where there's log messages in the code. Like this one. Log.info is red because that's not how you do it. How do you do it? You do it like this. You get logger and log manager. You replace this old import statement with the new import statement. And you change this to this. And you change it so it's log manager.getLogger instead of logger.getLogger. And boom, you're done. Except, yeah, that's it. So that's that for this file. And then we look for log in other files, especially ones where it's a Java file, and it's a Java file that I wrote, that I didn't just copy and change something. This one is in this Twitter4j package, which is basically just stuff that they wrote in Twitter4j, and I changed some of their stuff and had to put it into the Twitter4j package so it could access their other code. But none of that stuff is using log4j. It's using a different logger that the Twitter4j developer wrote. But now that my IDE has had some time to think about it, it's showing me that there's red underlines in sondo.twitter and specifically in the time class, because that has a logger reference. So the logger here needs to change to log manager, org apache logging log4j, and logger needs to be imported from the new package org apache logging log4j. And this import goes away, and we're done. So, well, we're not done. We're done with the code changes. Now we run the tests. And this is relay. This runs every day. It does do some, show the cat on stream, please. I would love to, but he's not here. I need to clean the desk so he feels more welcome. It's a little messy. I will definitely show the cat if he shows up, but I don't know that he will. Oh, you know what I might do is brush their teeth. I've never brushed their teeth on stream, but I brush their teeth every day. And I've always thought that would be something cute to do live on stream. And it is time. It's time to brush their teeth, to wake them up so that they can be ready to eat. Okay, all the tests passed. Let's change the version number to 1.2 so that we can do a build with the new version. And maybe I'll go get the cats to brush their teeth. All right, that's working. That worked. Let's see. How long is that going to take? I mean, it's got to get done. Well, let's do this first. So, because I'm if I get distracted, I'm gonna forget what I'm doing. Did I do the right one? Yes, that worked. And now we got to commit the change to relay. Let's see. Let's do this change because I think we do need it. The change of how to get the keys file. Commit that. Update how to get folder location for keys file. Yes. Then stage these lines and these bits of code for how the logger gets declared in this file and this file, the two places I have that kind of logging. And let's update log4j to 2.17.1. Then build.gradle 1.2 is the version of the project. And we'll tag that 1.2. Oh, we got to push this. And then tag 1.2, push the tag, add tag, good to go. And then we got to deploy. Let's deploy it over here. Functions. What was it called? Relay. This one's got to have a lot of keys in it. Let's see, because it's copying. It does a whole bunch of retweets of different accounts to different accounts. All my popular accounts retweet each other once in a while. Build libs relay 1.2 all save. And this one, well, I gotta mark when I did it, but the production testing is gonna take some time because I think it only happens like once a day. So I'll just have to see whether that like generally has failed recently. Okay, retweet polls, also important, but it's almost 10, so I should probably stop soon. How much more is there? So there's, let's see, for functions on Amazon, we got retweet polls, snake, Twitch promo again, Twitch promo, this should be other, I updated it, and venture, and a few other ones that need emoji tetra stuff. That's a little repetitive. I can do that offline. So there's a few of those, and then for code bases, we're doing relay. 9:55 or so. We got retweet polls is one. That's important. Rewards is not running, not finished. Doesn't matter really, but I can do something with it. Santa, that's an offline thing that I have sometimes run that collects people who are stealing other people's artwork to mint NFTs on them so that I can let people block them. Settings doesn't have log4j. That's my Windows settings and things. Snake definitely needs to be looked at. This one is nothing. Twitch config. I don't remember what that is, but it's not a software project. Twitch promo, I gotta look at again. So there's a bunch. So maybe I'll do another session of this to finish, or maybe I'll just do more of it offline. But I'm going to show the cat. If you'll bear with me a moment, I'm going to go get a cat and some toothpaste, and I'm going to brush a cat's teeth. Let's see. Which one of these do I want to use? This one. This one. What's that? That's my microphone. Oh, I forgot to put captioning on here. Okay, well, maybe I'll come back to that. Let me go get some stuff. One moment. Okay, we got toothpastes, we got toothbrushes, we got paper towels, we got here's toothpaste, and now we need a cat. Here we go. Here's Nibbler. Let's switch to this and turn the camera down. Don't have captions, I'm sorry. But this is mostly just a visual experience to see how much Nibbler loves getting his teeth brushed. Yes, if you have cat emotes, drop some cat emotes in the chat. Nibbler will appreciate it. Let's get the microphone out of the way. Here we go, baby. Ready? Good boy. Yeah. You're famous. People are watching you get your teeth brushed. But you can't see them, so it's not embarrassing. You don't know. It's okay. Oh, poor baby. It's okay. Good boy. He was trying to nap. More toothpaste. Such a pretty cat. Yeah. It's a rag doll. Turn this more as far as it goes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, if this took longer, this would be a whole stream. And then it would get tweeted the screenshot machine. We're in the Matrix, Nibbler. We have a Matrix background. There is no spoon. There is no toothbrush. Yeah, cat emotes. I have one emote in my arsenal, but I have it set up for subscribers. I want to move it to followers because I don't care about subscribers. It's an emote of my other cat, Amethyst, who I gotta find after this one's done. She's probably under a footstool in the other room, or I know where she is. Depends whether there's hot laundry. The future is weird. Because you're watching this, or because I'm doing this? Because now cats allow humans to brush their teeth. I mean, this isn't new. This is just most people don't do it, but they can. They could. It's easier if you start him young. He's used to it. He doesn't tolerate a lot of things, but he tolerates this because he's used to it. Like, he won't sit on my lap for any other reason. But if it's teeth brushing time, he's like, okay, go ahead. Whatever. Get it over with. Yes, both. Here we are. Yeah, I mean, if I stream more often, this would be like, I would be streaming this every night because I do it every night. And if you want to stream more, you just got to stream whatever you're doing, especially stuff you can do in front of a computer. And this is where I usually do it. But I usually watch Netflix while I do it. But now I'm the Netflix. Nibbler, you're the Netflix. You're the Netflix. We're watching you. Where's Amethyst? You don't know. You don't care. Be nice to Amethyst, okay? She's your friend, not your prey. He's kind of mean to Amethyst because he's bigger and he's crankier. Good boy. You want to go in the bowl? Here. Go ahead. Okay. You want to stay there or you want to go? If you stay, you can watch me brush Amethyst's teeth. You can go. Go ahead. Okay, bye. Okay, one more cat. Oh, what was that? Nibbler from Futurama? That's right. Nibbler from Futurama. Maybe I should have a background for 10 out of 10 would get nibbler flicks. Yes. I should, but my cats would shred my arms if I tried. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty common assumption about most adult cats. We got ours used to this at a young age when it was still doable. I think most adult cats uh, would not handle it very well. There's things our cats don't like being held, just generally. They don't like being held. But they tolerate this procedure. Nibbler tolerates a lot of things if he thinks it's a procedure. I can make him dance. He thinks it's a procedure. He just tolerates it. It's like, I guess we had to do this. Got to do our exercises. And I'm just like, do, 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 do. This is Amethyst, named after the character from Steven Universe. Okay, this is her sensitive tooth. We do it first. Gentle and brief. With concentration. And we're done. We're done with the sensitive one. That's the one that makes her cry. She'll be like, ow, 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 stop. Okay, good. We did the front. That's the hard part. Now we do the sides. And I relate. I understand. Because when I go to the dentist, I have lots of sensitive teeth. And I have to get lots of that numbing gel to tolerate all the stuff they do to me. And she's pretty good at telling me when it hurts. So it's just that one tooth that she has that's like very sensitive to the toothbrush. Can you hear me? I'm a little further from the mic, but I think it's fine. I'm loud. I'm speaking with an awareness of how far I am from the mic, so it should be fine. Almost done. Who am I talking to? My friends on the internet. They're used to me talking at the computer for various reasons. It's fine. Okay, good. Thank you. Good girl. Amethyst is generally very gentle and easygoing. She likes to sleep with me sometimes on my legs. You ready for dinner? Time for your dinner. That's one of the reasons I'm brushing you now, to wake you up. So you don't stay up, so you don't sleep all day and all night and then want extra dinner at 2 in the morning. Okay. Clean your face. I know. She hates this part because it's kind of cold. She hates the cold. Nibbler likes the cold. Amethyst likes the heat. Good girl. Yeah, good girl. All done. All done. The Feast of 1,000 Hams. And Nibbler is, it turns out that Nibbler is much like his namesake, a gobbler. Like, the name is ironic because Nibbler, the cartoon character, eats whole giant monsters in one bite. And my Nibbler is much the same. He scarfs down his food like a vacuum cleaner. And Amethyst will sit there for like half an hour, munching every tiny little morsel very slowly and chewing each bite, while Nibbler is like long finished because he just took the whole thing, devoured it as fast as possible, and ran away. And he does this hop to announce that he's done. He looks at the food and he's like, "Do I want more?" "No." And then he does a formal hop to establish completion of the meal. "But what about second dinner?" says she. Yes, exactly. And that's exactly what she gets as second dinner. Does he growl at the food or shake it like he's trying to kill it? No, that would be funny. Um, she does that to catnip toys, and little like hamster toy things. He's really into like a mouse on a string. She's really into just a plain string. There's a whole system of what toys they're into and what makes them go. She likes lasers. He likes mouse on a string. They both like a string, but it makes them fight because he sees her playing with it and he gets insecure, and then he gets angry that she's playing with it because he wants it. It's a bad scene. Um, and I gotta go walk around and make them some dinner. So I want to look for someone to raid. Oh, and I'm hungry again. I'm hungry again. I want to look at who's doing interesting stuff for a raid. Um, Today I'm doing programming, and there aren't that many people I follow who are generally doing programming. But I do stream board games sometimes, and I see Ruel Gaviola is streaming um, something with cute animals and possibly flowers that I don't recognize. So we're gonna raid over to Ruel, and I don't have one of those cool things of like what the message is that you're rating for me and everybody's supposed to say the same thing. Board game spam, hi, how are you? How's it going? I'm just finishing up a programming stream tonight. Night humans, look after yourselves. Thank you for being here, Dr. Haggis Pants. Um, those of you who are interested in watching board games online, we are raiding into Ruel Gaviola right now, who is fantastic, a delightful human being. And he is showing a live playthrough of a game I don't recognize on a physical tabletop. That's just pleasing, just enjoyable. Please give him lots of love and fill his chat full of happy emotes when you get in there, and so that he knows that I'm super cool. Which he already knows I'm cool, but like he'll think I'm cooler if you use more emotes. So the more emotes you give him, the more social capital that I'll have in my relationship with Ruel, which is very important to me because I love Ruel. Thank you for following MVD Dev. Nice to see you. I will be programming some more stuff in the future. I have a lot of things still to program, a lot of work to do. I also stream other things, board games, video games, etc. Uh, but you can always hang out for the ones that interest you the most. We're going to hit that raid button now. Everyone, stay safe. Wear N95s and KN95s, not cloth masks. And stay away from people whenever you have the opportunity to. COVID will end someday, and let's all stay as healthy as possible. Um, and try not to stress out too much. Take care of yourselves. Good night.
Gaviola. This is Tabletop Tonight. I play board games here several times a week, and tonight's Friday Fun Day. Thanks for hanging out with me. Good time. Good to see y'all here. Joe, what were y'all up to? I, I forgot what I know. You went live earlier. I wasn't sure what you're playing, but thanks for the first time chats. Doctor Haggis Pants. Nice name. We also have Scriff4. Thank you. Hello. Good to see you here. Much love to Joe and all the Raiders coming on in. Appreciate it. This is the Raiden helmet. It has been updated a few times. I hope you're having a good 2022. Yeah, STU. Yeah, the post-it. Again, my wife Michelle is a genius when it comes to crafting. This is a manila folder, duct tape, a little cardboard, and a post-it. It's 2022, folks. That's how we roll here. Thanks again for the raid. I was doing some Twitter bot programming, updating